This is a presentation of NorthEast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Start It Up. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, and of course, Roku TV. I am Jamie Pags, the Philly sports guy, along with my main man, Mac McGrath. Morning, Mac. How are you?
Good morning, Paz. Good morning to all the viewers out there today.
Let's get right to it. We had actually a short day in baseball. It was a travel day, one of those days where everybody's like, all right, we got to go to the next spot. So there was a truncated schedule out there, but there was some games going on. So let's start off with Seattle, out in Seattle, or actually out in Detroit. Seattle Mariners 7-0 over Detroit. Seattle is definitely putting their stamp on getting that last wild card spot, and they hand the Tigers their 18th shutout loss in a sweep. They swept out the Tigers. Obviously, that's what you're supposed to do against bad teams. The Tigers right now are 50-81, and compared to the Mariners, who are 15 games over 500 with a 73-58 record. Logan Gilbert has got his 11th win of the season, goes six innings and gives up 2 hits, and strikes out 9 in that game.
Yeah, Seattle, as everybody knows, Seattle was my pick to win the World Series, and now they're not laughing as hard as they did before.
And there you go. There you go. Well, you know what, J-Rod, when you bring in an energy like that, sometimes it take the rest of the team will take hold. Yeah. So it's and of course he got compensated for that. He got a nice extension. This year he comes in as a rookie. Next thing you know, he's getting an extension. Yeah, he's not going to need to go to arbitration anytime real soon.
Yes,
or ever. The Kansas City Royals fall to the Chicago White Sox 7-1. The White Sox take 2 or 3 in this and actually beat the Royals up. The Royals are not doing anything real well. The White Sox get to within 1 game of 500 as they're trying to figure out whether they want to be in this race or not. I think that they're like 6 games out right now, so it's really bad. Johnny Cueto wins this one, gets his 7th win, 5 1/3 inning pitch, 6 hits, 1 earned run, and 5 strikeouts. Daniel Mengden with the loss. I think it was probably his first. It might have been his first game. He goes 3 innings, 2 2/3, gives up 3 runs, and with 2 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So who knows whether the White Sox is really going to be able to make a run or not? Yeah, they keep threatening to maybe do it, but it's possible that maybe without La Russa there that they could actually do something. Because I feel like La Russa is probably the one that may have been holding them down a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As you could tell, I'm not a fan of the manager over there.
No, I don't think there's too many left.
Yeah, the Oakland Athletics and Washington Nationals. It's like I said, you had to get paid to go watch these games, and of course, they gave some extra time going into 10 innings, and they win. And the Nationals win this game 7-5. So they take that. Who was the winner of that? I keep waiting to see Stroudsburg in this. Stroudsburg. I don't think he pitches anymore. I think that he's just getting paid by Washington, but doesn't actually pitch anything at all. So
yeah, he was one of the best too for a while there, Pax.
So this was a game that really stood out. I was watching this game yesterday as there was no Phillies game. This was the game that really showed the most important and kind of gets you ready for baseball playoffs. The LA Dodgers up in New York at Citi Field against the Mets, and the Mets win the season series with a 5-3 win over the Dodgers. Chris Bassett gets the win. He goes 12-7, 6 innings pitched with giving up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts on 3 walks. Had a little bit of situation there, and I tell you, I'm not a Mets fan, and
Right.
but I like the Mets fans. I do find that the Mets fans, what I like about them is that they like to travel. And so when they came down to Philly, I have a lot of fun with them. A lot of them follow me on TikTok and on social media. So I'm really good about all of that. However, you know, they did something that was really cool. When Edwin Diaz goes out into the thing, they brought down the guy who actually made the song with the trumpet, Tommy Trumpet, and they had him on the field yesterday as they called him in. And I thought that was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
That is just really cool how they did that. And when baseball sometimes can get a little boring, but you know, if you have those few moments of time where it's like, all right, we're calling it, and he didn't close this game out. He came in the 8th inning,
Okay.
but he was able to kind of shut the door on the Dodgers there. And like I said, he gave up 1 run, uh, but the Mets win that 5-3. And of course, they are still 6 games back from the number 1 spot. The Dodgers still hold that with 90 wins, but the Mets played some good ball and now know that when they get there that they don't have to be afraid of the Dodgers, that the Dodgers may have some chinks in the armor.
Yeah.
Instead
It's
of
sort of like the minor league baseball teams, right? They have so many different things for you to do while the game's going on for the kids and all that stuff. So yeah, it's like Major League Baseball might be following their lead.
well, I don't know that they're going that crazy because obviously the Major League Baseball wants to do most of the focus on the field.
Sure.
I mean, they got the Mets, but like I said, when they do that little trumpet thing, that was just kind of cool. It's
Yeah.
like, and there's nobody that comes into any type of music for the Phillies that would require anything like that. But that was just kind of fun to watch that, and that was a playoff atmosphere. That whole series, it was a 4-game series, it was a playoff atmosphere the entire series, and I'm sure this could be a precursor to the NL championship.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
we may be seeing these two teams again here in late October.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
The Baltimore Orioles pound 3 homers and blank the Guardians 3-0. The Orioles, in the process of that, actually get within a game and a half of the wild card spot. It's they are a game and a half behind Toronto and Seattle. They had a tie. They were tied as of yesterday. Seattle winning. I don't think Toronto played, or at least I haven't seen them yet. So uh, it's possible that the Orioles they just called up one of their prospects who would think ranked 91st in the
Hmm.
process. In the pool, like he was the 91st touted prospect. They just called him up. So they're going to go for it. They're going to try to get into the playoffs, and I wouldn't mind seeing them in there. I wouldn't mind seeing some fresh faces. I mean, I'm so used to seeing Baltimore stink for so long. Getting into the playoffs would be something worthwhile, especially in that East. That's really a tough division.
Yeah. And Baltimore and the Red Sox in the late '60s were the two teams to beat. You had to go through them to get to the playoffs or to the World Series, and this is great for baseball. I think Baltimore is a very historic franchise.
I know that the Phillies lost to them in '83. That was the old Red Machine rather than the big Red Machine. Yeah, that was the
Right?
remaking of the Cincinnati Red Machine in Philadelphia, and we lost to the Orioles in 5 games.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that was the rookie year of, that was when he started playing. That may have been the beginning of his career. That would be one Cal Ripken Jr.
yeah. Wow, wow. That's
Yeah, so that the very beginning when he was only playing like 7 and 8 games in a row.
Right.
you know, then he winds up with 2,600 games in a row nonstop.
Yeah, just getting by Lou Gehrig. So there you go.
So, speaking of which, the Boston Red Sox, as you mentioned, they beat the Texas Rangers 9-8. They an old name, the Phillies, Juris Familia, known better as the Mets. He
Yeah.
actually gets the win here, which is a big surprise because I even thought he forgot to pitch. He figured out what it was pitching, and last time he faced against the Texas Rangers, they smoked him for like 8 runs.
Wow.
So he gets the win here on 1 innings pitch. Boston needed to come back. Wow. They score 6 runs in between the 8th and the 9th inning to come back and win this game.
Yeah.
They
I
were
mean,
down 8-2 or eight to
I always,
three.
yeah, I always call them that lunch pail team. They're the ones that they've had the superstars from Yastrzemski all the way to Damon and such, and they always at the end of the year, Pags, uh, they come on strong.
Well, no more Damon, but they have Xander Bogarts, and
Yeah,
obviously they say they're going to keep him, but we'll find out if that's really the case, if they can afford to keep him as
right,
when they get into the off season.
right, right.
The Atlanta Braves blank the Colorado Rockies. Uh, records. Wow, wow. The rookie Spencer Strider goes 8 innings pitched, actually a complete game here, gives up 2 hits and strikes out 16
Oof.
for his 9th win of the season.
Yeah, dude.
16 strikeouts. That's impressive. That is impressive.
I wonder if he has the same cheering section like a Doc Gooden. Remember when he was had all those K's up there in the crowd and he was at his best. I wonder if they have the same kind of enthusiasm. Well, I would imagine they do. I imagine they do.
Yeah, I don't know, but when you strike out 16, you got so you're definitely dealing. And I don't know much about this Spencer Strider guy, you know, but 16 strikeouts against any team is a good day. So,
Yes.
and he did not have a complete game because they got to sit here. Kenley Jansen with the save, he's got his 31st save of the season. So Atlanta continues moving. Excuse me, moving forward. This year, they win their 81st game, and they are still 3 games back on the Mets as the Mets continue to win as well. So, but they beat the
A little
Rockies.
different, a little different than last year, right? They barely got over 500 in first place, and it's just a little, like I said, a little bit different than last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, the whole thing is a little different than last year. Same thing with the Phillies. The Phillies obviously were, going into September, they were in the lead
Right.
in the division and lost the division lead very early in September because the demise was starting to happen. They went up against Arizona the same way last year and they got swept in Arizona. So scoring 18 runs the other day was something worthwhile. And
Yeah.
speaking of Arizona helping out the Phillies cause, they blank the Brewers 5-0
Yeah.
as Merrill Kelly gets his 12th win. He goes 7 innings pitched and 7 strikeouts and no walks as they just can't seem to put anything together in Milwaukee. They only give, a 4-hit game. Is Milwaukee in the playoff hunt or are they not in the playoff hunt? I don't think that they are. They're 69 and 61 now. This puts them 3.5 games out of the wild card standing. I think it's going to be tough just in general over there and how
Yeah.
they're going to be doing things. So it's taking a quick peek at the standings here, specifically the wild card, because that's really what everybody wants to know about, because everybody knows about the division leaders and such like that. So, uh, in the wild card right now, the Phillies hold a half a game lead over the Padres for the second wild card spot, but they They hold 3 games over the Brewers for that third wild card spot. So, which is really more important. I would not mind to see the Padres get the number 2 wild card so that they would have to face against the Braves and us go against St. Louis. But just getting into the playoffs would be worthwhile here. And then on the other side, in the American League, they are the Baltimore Orioles are a game and a half back at third wild card spot from the Blue Jays, and then 3.5 games back from the Mariners and the Rays, who are in a virtual tie right now for that number 1 wild card spot. The
Yeah.
Twins are also within the mix at 3 games back of the wild card spot, and the White Sox at 6 games. Both of and the Red Sox at 7.5. I've seen worse collapses.
Yeah.
No,
No, definitely.
7.5 games back isn't ridiculous. However, you got to start winning some games to really make that happen. And I don't expect that to really be the case. So,
Yeah, they came backpacks, against the Yankees, and that big rivalry. I think the Yankees were back. I think it was 14 or 18 games, but Boston came back in the last game and won. So that listen, Boston. People laugh at me, but Boston is that lunch pail team. They have the chemistry. They have the home field advantage. With that Green Monster. So never ever count Boston out.
I can believe that. In other news throughout Major League Baseball, uh, Cardinals pitcher Carlos Martinez suspended for 85 games. Uh, he is allegedly had a situation with child endangerment. Of course, my story doesn't want to pop up here because my phone wants to screw with me while I'm in the middle of a show, so I can't read the whole story. But I remember seeing it yesterday that he's been accused of domestic abuse and child endangerment. So it's for
That's
violating its joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy.
oh wow.
So 85 games on that is a lot of games. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but when you get those types of charges against you, it's an unfortunate type of situation. So,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
and let's see if anything else. Mariners hold the Tigers to their 18th straight. A lot of word about prospects coming up. Obviously, September 1st is where you can increase your roster to 28 players from 26. So they brought a lot of new prospects coming up into the league, and that it was literally like that. The Orioles had somebody, and is very their new shortstop who was doing very well in AAA. That's the kid who was the 91st ranked prospect in Major League Baseball. And let's see who else brought up.
Tampa Bay's got to be in there, right? They do that every year. They're always change over, always bring up prospects. Great scouting department, great system down there. So I imagine they're doing the same thing.
Probably, however, the Rays didn't play yesterday. That's the only reason why we're not hearing about that from them. The Yankees call up infield prospect Oswald Peraza.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get a little bit of fire into their coffers too. It's the Giants acquire former top prospect Brinson from the Astros. I'm not exactly sure who he is, but let's see if it's who it says. It's outfielder Lewis Brinson for cash considerations. That was definitely one of the waiver prospects, or actually, they have to trade them in the minor leagues. Minor league trades are still allowed to happen.
Okay.
So they probably picked him up there. And then, of course, they got this rookie who breaks the Braves record with 16 days. I think he's the first Brave to throw that many, or he actually broke the record for
Yeah.
strikeouts in a single game. 16 Ks over 8 innings.
And with
that's
all the great Atlanta pitchers, right? I mean, if you go back to their main three, and that's surprising that he did that. So
that was the first thing that I thought of. I'm like, wow, that 16 is the record. The previous record was held by. All right, you want to take a guess at which one of the pitchers had the?
Was was the one that started as the reliever and then came in as the starting pitcher?
Well, he was a starter and then went to a reliever. Okay. But yes, you are right. Smoltz.
All right. Yes.
Smoltz was the one who had he had 2 times where he had 15 strikeouts in a game, but never 16.
He was a good Irishman.
So and that's an Atlanta Brave. When they were the Milwaukee Braves, there was a Warren Spahn who struck out 18, but he did that over 15 innings.
Yeah.
So that's a different scenario. That was when pitchers were real.
Right. And we can't forget about the offense too, Pags. I mean, Andrew Jones. I mean, one of the best center fielders ever to play, had a lot of power.
Yeah, and he was part of that Braves team that won a lot of games, but not a lot of championships.
Exactly. That was the biggest. That was the biggest cut on them, right? I think they won one World Series, and So.
And they had a manager who liked to beat his wife. So that was the one thing that you remember. I remember about him, that he was not the nicest of guys, and he was but I guess a good baseball manager, because different times back then. It was different times.
Definitely.
But anyways, that's all I have. Do you know of anything that's going on your side with baseball? Any baseball news coming from your camp?
No, Pags. I think you covered it all, my friend.
All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to go early on the break because college football was out yesterday. There was a lot of stuff that was going on, and there's been some football moves that even though they got down to 53-man roster, these rosters are still not set, and there's been a lot of football things going on. So let's go take a quick commercial break now, and we will be back right after these commercial messages.
Stick around.
Right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready. I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, from Brooklyn. Hey, get any...
And welcome back to Start It Up. I love showing that commercial, and not just because I'm in it, but obviously Philly Sports Trips. They definitely help me out with getting to all my different locations. Definitely, if you want to travel to anyone, also not only, and this is something that's a little less known. If you want to come to a game in Philadelphia, if you happen to be a Giants fan, a Cowboys fan, Washington fan, a fan of any of the teams, a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you could get a hold of Philly Sports Trips, and we have certain packages that allow you to come to a tailgate. That's co-ed tailgate, as we call it, because we do allow opposing fans, so you have a safe environment. We set up the hotel, and we get you tickets to the game. So there is full packages for you to come to Philadelphia as an opposing fan and be able to enjoy a game here without getting beat up. So, feel free.
What more can you ask for, Pags? I mean,
Exactly. That's the best part about coming here sometimes, is that we give you security for as long as we see you. So once you're out of our sight, then that's up to you. Make sure that you don't talk back to some of these guys, because I'm not there to protect you all that time.
Yeah.
But really, truth of the matter is that Philadelphia isn't as bad as everybody likes to think it is. Everybody thinks that we're bad people and that we're the craziest fans that always start fights. That's really not the case at all.
Yeah. I think that's all blown out of proportion, Pags.
Yeah, it's trumped up media stuff. Of course, the media needs something to talk about, and they love picking on Philly. That's okay. No one likes us, and we don't care.
Oh, come on, Pags. I love you guys.
I know that you do. I know that you do, Mac, but not everybody feels the exact same way. So Mario, anytime you want to come, you are more than welcome. We could set you up. All you'd have to do is just get the plane ticket here, and we can take care of everything else. Mario has been following me for years from Sydney, Australia. He's down there, so. Love Mario, and I appreciate he gives us our international flair here from Australia.
That's too cool.
All right, so as I said, college football. Last week was week 0. We are actually in week 1. This is week 1 scores, and they started on Thursday. They did the Thursday night kick. So. And here are all the scores here. I'm going over all of them because most of these schools we haven't even heard of, but we're going to do it anyways. Akron wins in overtime against St. Francis of Pennsylvania, 30-23 there. Another overtime game, Florida International 38, Bryant University 37. I'm not sure where Bryant.
We already established that's at the airport, folks. So you got to go to the airport to watch them play.
Florida International, yes. That's if you want to be part of the FAA, that's where you go to college. So and hope to play some football because they need some extra help there.
Right.
12th ranked Oklahoma State beats Central Michigan 58-44. Hopefully everybody took the over on that game.
Oh, hell
yeah. South Carolina State gets drubbed by UCF 56-10. University of Central Florida there. I know that I've been around there. They actually have a great campus over there. Back in my younger days, I spent some time in that campus.
Listen, they compete very well with all the Florida schools out there. So, UCF has nothing to worry about when it comes to playing these other teams.
Well, and actually, with the rise of UCF, it's actually led to a little bit of the demise of Florida State. Florida State has kind of suffered because of that, because UCF has been taking some of the recruits that would normally have gone to Florida State. Obviously, Florida still have a pretty good team, but and Miami used to be great, but is obviously does not have the same appeal as it used to. So. Isn't there a lot of complaints about the stadium more than the team and everything? I mean, their stadium, from what I understand, is terrible. The locker room, everything there. So, in Miami.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
That's not so. That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's probably been the same locker room for forever. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to put a fresh coat of paint on there and maybe sweep up something.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing over there, but
Yeah.
I figure like that the opposing locker rooms should be a little dingier. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's you always want the opposing team to come in and not be happy about their surroundings. So I mean
Right.
that was what made the Vets such a popular place to play.
Yeah. And that's, you don't want Eli Manning signing his autograph on the wall, during the game. So, yeah, I agree with that.
So here you go. One of Desmond Howard's picks to be in the Final Four moving forward here in the college playoff. Pittsburgh outlasts West Virginia 38-31. I was watching this game. Pittsburgh's ranked 17th right now. Pittsburgh's actually got a very good team. Came on strong last year, has most of the players back from last year, and look to be a little bit of a powerhouse moving forward. They outlast West Virginia 38-31. I was watching a little bit of that game last night. I thought West Virginia was going to run away with it initially, and then Pittsburgh came back to really take hold of that game.
Okay.
Tennessee crushes Ball State 59-10. So Tennessee starts off a good season. Who knows if that's going to be the peak of their season or the start of their demise.
And how can you not love the name Ball State?
Ball State. Where is Ball State? I got to imagine that sounds like an Indiana school.
It could be. It could be, Pax.
So if anybody knows that, because I'm not going to Google it, I don't care.
Right.
Toledo beats LIU 37-0. Look at Toledo coming out of the box here and winning their first game against the LIU.
Holy Toledo.
Exactly. The only thing I know about Toledo was that was where Jamie Farr's character in MASH was from.
Yeah. Okay.
You get all different types of knowledge here from
yes,
from those types of things.
We're full of it.
22nd ranked Wake Forest beats VMI is what, the Virginia Military Institute?
Yes.
I think that's who that is. 44-10. Obviously, Wake Forest getting some play here as the 22nd ranked, the preseason 22nd ranked. So they do pretty nicely there. In the Battle of Illinois, at least a couple of Illinois where they got half of the compass figured out here. Northern Illinois beats Eastern Illinois 34-27. Obviously, Southern and Western Illinois may have something to say out who really reigns supreme in Illinois, and maybe even Illinois University might have something to say about all of that.
We have the same kind of setup here in Connecticut. You got Eastern, you got Western, you got Northwestern, colleges up here. Of course, Connecticut, you know how great they are about football. So, yeah, okay.
Well, they got to have a lot of football teams up there. That's the only way that the East Coast Football League can maintain, because all the colleges there, they start to take their pools. They send their pools of guys over to the East Coast Football League, which is the biggest semi-pro league in the country.
That is
out
the
of
truth.
Connecticut.
That is
out
the
of
truth.
Connecticut.
That is the truth.
So, moving forward, UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, beats Alabama A&M 59-0.
Wow.
So they get crushed.
That's huge, Bags. That's huge.
So, I mean, I'm sure that's a pretty big rivalry because they played in the first game. But, I mean, I only know of Texas A&M. I got to imagine there's more A&Ms out there, but Texas A&M is the only one that I really know of.
Yeah.
Michael
Strahan.
Strahan.
Michael Strahan. I think he's either Texas Tech or Texas A&M. I'm not sure, but I think it's one of those.
I could believe that. Texas Tech sounds more right about that, I would think.
Yeah.
Missouri beats Louisiana Tech 52-24 in a Big Ten game, Big Ten matchup. I think it was really one of the only ones Big Ten matchup of Thursday night. Penn State outlasts Purdue 35-31 with a that was what it is with 57 seconds left. Clifford throws a pass to Lee. I don't know. Yeah, Sean Clifford. That's right, Kevon Lee, and gets a touchdown with 57 seconds left, and that puts the finishing touches on the comeback. And Penn State wins their first. Yeah, wins the first game of this, 35-31.
And Penn State, I don't know. Well, Pitt, I guess, is just as big, but if the way Penn State goes, I don't even want to say Pittsburgh goes the same way because I don't think they're. Like I said, I think they're two equally big schools. But Pitt, then Pitt had, was it Marino played for Pitt or?
Well, I know that Marino was from that area. I don't know if he did. He may have gone to Pitt.
Yeah.
But I know he was from the area, that
Right.
far, like part of Western Pennsylvania. Western Pennsylvania is a hub for quarterbacks. At least it was in the 80s that there were a lot of quarterbacks that came from that. Joe Montana, same situation.
Yeah.
He was from Western Pennsylvania. And there's just been a number of, there's been good high school football in Pennsylvania for a really long time. Back when I went to school, I went to Ridley, and Ridley was on a 92 game winning streak when I was in high school. And we lost, I think we lost our final regular season game against guys that we played with. Like I remember I was playing Pee Wee ball. We combined, we were playing with guys that went to Springfield, which was an opposing high school. And they're the team that actually finally broke the streak. The Springfield Cougars wound up beating us in that one game, but we still won the state championship that year. So that being said, moving forward, Minnesota comes out of the gate real strong and blanks New Mexico State 38-0. Minnesota looking to be, trying to make a noise here in the Big Ten, on the western side of the Big Ten. Arizona State crushes Northern Arizona 40-3.
Right.
San Jose. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is that where Deion Sanders and the guy from Philly, you played to win the game? Is that where they're coaching at, both of them now?
No. So Deion Sanders is it Davison?
Okay.
Is he at Davison? I think is where he's the coach at. And you're talking about
Herman Edwards.
So Arizona is Herman Edwards.
Okay.
And I think that is him over there. I'm not 100% certain. It's either Arizona or Arizona State. But Herman Edwards still well loved here in Philly, as he was the one who scored the touchdown against your Giants when Pisarcik thought that he was going to be swift, and changed football forever by fumbling the ball. And that was from that moment on, the kneel down in victory formation was.
That was the coach that told him to do that, Pags. That wasn't Pisarcik. So.
Well, it didn't matter because after they cut him that following year, the Eagles picked him up. He was a backup for the Eagles as well. So, I know my old Eagles history.
Deion Sanders, Pags. I just got a quick alert. Is at Jackson State.
Jackson State, and not Davison. I knew it was a smaller college, but I expect that college to be making big splashes. We're going to be hearing more about Jackson State than we've ever had before. They do have the number 1 defensive recruit playing for them. Right. And now, especially with all of these, this monies from the, whatever these, thing is where they're allowed to get money, Deion Sanders is making sure all collegiate players get paid. And so that they're going to wind up being, somewhat competitive, I think, in this year's season.
I agree, Pat.
Moving forward, San Jose State outlasts Portland State 21-17, and then finally the last game on the docket: Fresno State beats Cal Poly 35-7. And this was
Wow.
just the beginning of
Yeah.
college football. I'm sure there's a lot more on the slate today on the docket. Oh, yeah, tons. Well, not tons, but yeah. Any big games coming up? Michigan State going up against Western Michigan, but that looks like it's going to be a blowout type of situation there. Uh, Texas Christian against Colorado. So those are the two games to maybe think about watching today as college football gets underway moving forward.
Yes.
Let's talk about what's happening in football and how some things happened yesterday that really began to, you know, shape how this season may turn out. The Broncos extend Wilson. They extend Wilson, give him a 5-year, $245 million extension.
Hey,
So he's
I
going to be
listen.
there for 7 years. I tell you, I don't know that it was worth it. But
Well,
Walmart
as
is figuring they're getting the blue light special right now with, I know I'm taking something from Kmart and giving it to Walmart, but they are doing whatever they can to make sure that that their franchise is worth all of the money that they paid, and they did that by starting off by signing Wilson to an extension for $245 million. That's a lot of money. That's a
as
lot
we
of money.
already
I hope it's worth it.
as we already established, Russell Wilson is a definite Hall of Famer. When he played for Seattle and now with Denver, he's
I don't
going
know
in the
that
Hall
he's
of
a
Fame.
definite Hall of Famer. I think that he's got a little bit more to prove. If he brings them to the playoffs, he's got 7 years left now with the Broncos. He brings them to the playoff 2 or 3 times. I could see that really being it. But if he goes over there and he doesn't do great, I think that it's going to diminish that. Like I know he's been to 2 Super Bowls, he's won one, and that he's had really good numbers over there in Seattle, and in essence, he's been, it's been Seattle's defense and Russell Wilson that's carried this team.
True
So
and a
there's
beast, right? In beast mode, right? Marshawn
correct,
Lynch.
correct. But I mean, he hasn't had beast mode now for 4 years.
True.
So it's, he's had to carry that team himself. And the moment that he's not there, when he got hurt, obviously, when they had to rely only on their wide receiver started crying, and next thing you know, Russell Wilson's gone. So
Yeah.
now I'd love to see exactly you know, he can only catch the ball sometimes. DK Metcalf, let's see how much of a cancer he is not this year when he's got Geno Smith throwing him the
Yeah.
ball.
I
Let's see how
agree.
much he misses Russell Wilson.
Well, I can only imagine that he'll boss him around more than he did Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson is a lot more a bigger personality and player than Geno Smith. So I would imagine that's going to be crazy in that huddle.
I agree. And I think that this is just the beginning of the end for Seattle, as they are going to stink it up
Yeah,
as they quietly tank for whoever it is that they want for the first pick in the draft.
and I agree with that.
That's going to be they're in the middle of a tanking situation, even though they don't want to call it that.
I agree again. Definitely.
So the Titans, Landry, and I'm not sure, he looks like a defensive guy, suffers an ACL. He's going to be out for the season. He had a Pro Bowl season last year with 12 sacks. So he's a defensive lineman, linebacker.
Wasn't he a defensive lineman for the Cowboys Packs before that?
Harold Landry? I don't think so.
Okay, no,
I think that this guy was he had 12 sacks with the Titans last year, and he just signed a 5-year, $87.5 million contract this offseason. Unfortunately, he tears his ACL and is going to be out for the year.
Wow. I mean, they're just throwing money this year. They're throwing money at anybody this year. Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh man, this is interestingly enough. As I'm reading this, Saints safety May arrested in road rage incident. Now, of course, the Saints just traded their one safety to the Eagles,
Right.
and now their other safety decides that he's going to get angry while driving around and winds up getting arrested. That could leave them a little hurting in their defensive secondary for a little bit of time as they figure out one, what type of suspension he's going to face from the NFL for player conduct.
Yeah.
Out. So that's going to cause a little bit of a problem. Trey Lance, all excited about Garoppolo coming back. He's like, yeah, now we have the best quarterback room in NFL.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Whatever.
Okay, Trey. Okay, Trey. You're not going to be saying that after you're not playing. You're not be saying that at all.
So, and as you alluded to, that the Giants released Martinez. He's actually just coming off of that ACL tear, but unfortunately, it's something that they had to do. And
he was the emotional leader. He was the leader in tackles. They called him the tackling machine. I mean, listen, I know you got to make moves to cut down to the 53 roster, but come on, Giants. This guy is very valuable. He's a middle linebacker. He plays all 4 downs. You don't find these guys like that anymore. And to get rid of Blake Martinez, you got rid of maybe the heart and soul of that defense, Pags.
That's quite possible. And I'm sure that somebody will pick him up. The fact that he is a linebacker makes me think that the Eagles will probably even take a quick look at him, because they're always looking. I mean, one thing that I will say about Howie Roseman is that if he's going to be able to bolster a position for not a lot of money, because this is what he thrives on, grabbing players who still have stuff in the tank and have a prove it to me contract.
And I would agree with you. Rosen as a GM is one of the best in football. So I agree, Pat.
He's one of the least trusted. He's one of the least trusted in football, as voted on by the agents. But that being said, he's always real big on the prove it to me contracts. So I would not be surprised if Martinez signs a 1-year deal with the Eagles and they put one of their guys, because they only have right now, the Eagles only have 14 guys on their practice squad. You're allowed to have as many as 16, 17, because we do have an international player that we're training as well. So we have 2 more spots available. I wouldn't be surprised if they went and took a flyer on this guy and signed him, put him on the roster, and gave him a shot to try to make this team under one of those 1-year deals. Because I think that, and especially right now, the Eagles are a sexy pick to do well. Might be a good fit for each other.
Yeah, I agree, Pat.
Speaking of which, the Eagles claim running back Sermon off of waivers from the 49ers. They needed an extra running back, and they thought this guy was probably the best. He actually was going to be on their practice squad over in San Francisco, and the Eagles said, nope, we're going to take him. Thank you.
There you
go. They take him out there. Derrick Henry gets a $2 million raise to become the highest paid running back this season. Yeah, so they said, you know what? We're going to make you the best paid guy. Here's $2 more million.
Yeah, until somebody else comes along and gets another, gets more money than he does, because that just keeps going on and on and on. So,
well, right now, as of right this second, he's the highest paid running back in 2022. So we'll see. We'll see if that holds true here, as we're under a week away from the start of the NFL season next Thursday. So we are 1 full week away before the kickoff here.
And Pags, as you said before, it's one on the line of scrimmage. The Titans easily have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They zone block just as good, if not better, than anybody there, and opens these massive holes for Henry to choose from. So, I think they should give them something too, right?
Hey, listen, I understand that. And actually, they're not as big. They're not very big, but they are mobile. And that's the one thing that I will say about the Titans offensive line that matches the Eagles. I feel like that the Eagles are very mobile. They are able to move very well. And I feel that's what the Titans are able to do as well. They're able to pull well. They're able to get around the edges to be able to lay blocks. And they're good at second level blocking. They're able to get through that first block and then get to that second block. And then if somebody happens to make it through, Derrick Henry just pushes them over and knocks them on their keister because they just can't handle that.
The only thing different about the Eagles is they are a lot more bigger, right? They're bigger than the Titans linemen. And, it's impressive to see big men move like that, Pax.
Hey, trust me, when I watch Jordan Mailata, and I keep waiting time that they decide to use him in a running back situation because he's carried the football, he's carried the rugby football, very well for a number of years. So I think it's only a matter of time before they start to really use that. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw 4th and 1 this year where they put him in the backfield to either be a fullback in a fullback type of situation, or they put him as the actual ball carrier and just plow through a line.
Yeah,
When you need that 1 yard, I wouldn't mind giving that as a trick play.
I agree.
You know,
That's sort of like William the Fridge Perry, right? In Chicago, they gave him the ball, and
which was a shame, which was absolutely a shame. I mean, not for nothing, but they were up by so much. Why not give it to Sweetness and let him score that touchdown? They gave it to the refrigerator Perry to score that touchdown. He's the one that gets that touchdown and has a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And Walter Payton does not have a Super Bowl touchdown. So I found that was ridiculous. All you needed to do was have him be as a fullback and give it to Sweetness. So
you make a great point, Pax. You make a great point there.
So of course I knew I'd hear a guy down in Australia. He was and Mario is a fan of the team that he played for, of Jordan Mailata played for. So whenever I want to get how Jordan Mailata used to play back there, I mean, I've seen some highlights where he had 7 guys that you jumped on his back, you were just getting carried along. You were not going to tackle him. You had to get him by his feet in general. So
reminds me back of Mark Bavaro and the San Francisco 49ers, right? When even Ronnie Lott couldn't take him down by himself.
I remember Mark Bavaro. He was like and Mark Bavaro was like really the first tight end to that he was one of the ones that started to mold what tight ends are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of that. That before that, tight ends were mostly just blocking guys. Mark Bavaro was the one who started catching balls a little bit. Him and Keith Jackson with the Eagles.
Great one. Ozzie Newsome too, Page. You got to throw him in there. Great Ozzie Newsome. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, like I said, those were the ones that really started to create what tight ends evolved into now. I think.
True. Very true.
The other big news in NFL was that Tua winds up getting the captain honor in Miami. And they're looking at that as a very big deal. This is that the team is behind him. Let's go try to win something here and see if you could actually make yourself the quarterback that we all want you to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, how many people didn't like that signing, right? I mean, you had Herbert. I think that I'm almost positive. Did Herbert go before too?
No, not before. It was after.
Okay. So, anyway, a lot of people were against him, the head coach. It was very tough for Tua, who said he forgot to read the playbook. So I guess he brought a little bit on himself.
There you go. And and that's all I have. Do you have anything from the NFL, Mac?
No, Pax. Again, you've covered everything that I would have covered. So,
all right. So here we go. Now a little bit of NBA news since we only got 5 minutes left, and this hits right close to home. The Jazz trade, is it Donovan Mitchell? Yes. Is that who it is? Yes. To the Cavs for a package that includes Sexton. And I tell you, the Knicks, there's much crying in Mudville as the Knicks are unable. It started, I'm not a Stephen A. Smith fan. Sometimes he says some good stuff. Sometimes he says some bad stuff. But when I see him on point of tears, I have joy. I have joy. And he was about to cry that this happened over there. It's just he wasn't able to get Donovan Mitchell. I'm like, really? You're crying about this, but the Knicks can't seem to get anything done whatsoever. And Donovan Mitchell winds up going to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So everybody's all excited about that trade, except people from New York.
Yes. They are wrapping up the extension of RJ Barrett, though. So that's a little good news where, this guy has played like crazy for them over there. So they did get the extension signed with RJ Barrett. So
here you go. And interestingly enough, the country of Germany retires Dirk Nowitzki's number.
Wow.
Number 14 is retired in Germany, I guess, for all of basketball. Obviously, German football, probably somebody's going to wear number 14, but in basketball, which is nice. I find that was great for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's something that's happening in the G League this year.
All right.
In overtime, instead of playing a certain amount of time, they are going to set a target score.
Okay.
So you're going to have, so if the game ends in a tie, they're going to do it. Of course, it's not going to show me what they're going to actually go up to, because it loves to, my phone wants to screw with me as I'm trying to get all these stories read. But they're going to show, it's going to be like, hey, the first 1 to 15 wins the game. That'll be interesting.
Like horse. Yeah, like horse. The first 1 to 21, right? So,
yeah. And it's kind of something like that. So we'll see how that goes on. A little bit of extra quick news in tennis. Serena and Venus get knocked out in the first round of open doubles.
Yeah.
So as we were talking about that, you thought maybe it would tire Serena out to play in the rest of the tournament. Now she doesn't have to worry about that because she's already out.
Yeah, there you go. Solved all the problems right there. So there you go.
Exactly. And let's see. It's if there was anything else in news today. No, that's all I have. Mac, do you have anything to add into
Again, Pags, as I said before, you covered it all. So you're on the money today, Pags.
Got you. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we will not be back, because tomorrow is Saturday. So you'll have to turn in to the Mac and Jack show for all of your sports news, where we're doing the debate show, but you will get some scores from us as we move forward. But we will see you guys all next week as part of Started Up. Thank you for joining us, and tune in another hour when we get back with the Mac and Jack show, where both myself and Mac will be joined by Hall of Fame boxing writer Jack Hirsch. Since he doesn't want me to talk about his boxing writing, in the beginning of a show, I'm going to say it here at the end of this show that we are happy to have him on there, and with special guest Byron Williams coming in.
Yes.
Actually, Texas Sports Hall of Famer Byron Williams, newly appointed there. He got inducted with George Foreman and Eric Dickerson into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. So congratulations.
And NFLPA, I think he is now the main guy. So
not yet. We did send in our video of all of his highlights of being an executive, and he is on the short list of possibly being the head guy over there. So, and of course, he's NorthEast Streaming Sports owned. So we could say that we've molded him into the guy that he's become.
Yes, we can. Great point. So.
That being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you in just over an hour at the Mac and Jack show. Everybody, have a great weekend.
Yes, sir.